9/11 happened September 11th, a Tuesday, 2001. We've had many anniversaries of that date since then, and we will celebrate it again next week. But there's something special about next week's anniversary. It falls on Tuesday again. The calendar, like 9/11, has come full circle. One of the greatest songs evoking great emotion and yet great inspiration about 9/11 was by Alan Jackson. The lyrics start out, "Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day?" He then goes on to paint a panoramic view of Americana, of scenes that all of us can relate to. Were you out in the yard with your family? Were you teaching a class full of innocent children? Were you on a stage in LA? Were you driving down some cold interstate? Then the lyrics go on to propel us to great heights of emotion as to what we felt. Did you rejoice for those who walked from the rubble? Did you grieve for those left below? Did you go to a church, hold hands with some stranger? Where were you on 9/11? I was a brand new Toastmaster, 6 months into Toastmasters. My home club, the Arboretum Toastmasters, meets in my building. 9:30 that morning, before our meeting started, I was in a conference room. Someone comes rushing in. Planes have crashed into the World Trade Towers. One has been destroyed. The other is about to fall. We couldn't believe it. We went down to the auditorium where there's the CNN feed, and I will never, never forget that image of the aerial camera over the second tower, the black smoke coming up, to see the tower shake and then crumble and collapse under its own weight. It was horrifying. We were paralyzed. And the question arose, should we cancel our Toastmasters meeting at noon on this day? And I made my first leadership decision in Toastmasters. I said, no, with a great tragedy like this, it is better that we be together to comfort each other, to support each other, to love each other, than to be alone in our isolation and uncertainty. We had our meeting. It was a somber meeting. Well, the world did start to turn again, and in many ways, things got back to normal. And the Toastmasters experience, my Toastmaster experience, and the experience of other members in this room testify to that. Right after the towers fell, there was this rumor that it was the end of the world. Now, all of these end of the world rumors, they all seem to be some version of Revelation from the Bible, and they all seem to get it wrong. So that was a Toastmaster speech. It was called Read It For Yourself. I described what Revelation said. Everybody just laughed because I described all those funny creatures flying around the throne of God. So the imagery got in the way. But then another person gave a speech about leave my Constitution alone. Before there was a Patriot Act, Toastmasters were concerned about using the war on terror to take away and encroach upon civil liberties. And then when there is that fight over the sculpture at the trade tower, whether it should be a figurative sculpture, or a realistic sculpture, I knew when we start fighting over art, America's alive and well. And then beyond that, there were speeches about the soldiers. Terry Flo, who is now the president of West Austin 1, her husband was in Iraq for a term. She gave a moving speech, remember the soldiers, remember the soldiers. And then Bob Dashman, who is our webmaster, he is in the National Guard. He has served in Iraq. He talked about how lonely it feels there, but was always reminded of how much love was coming from the States. And today we heard a fun speech about 9/11. Look out for those terrorists all around us. So the question becomes, where will you be on 9/11? Because the calendar has come full circle, I get to be with my Toastmasters Club again, Arboretum. We will meet on that day. Then, and in my Toastmasters Club, I'll have the opportunity for comfort, for support, and for love among us. Then I'm going to jump on an airplane. The last thing I wanted to do on 911, but I'm not scared. But I'm going on an airplane because I'm flying out to Seattle for my little nephew's 5th birthday. But in that airport, I'm looking forward, even though I'll be surrounded by strangers in the airport, on the plane. I'll be looking for that bond of comfort, support, and love as all of us traverse through our airports on that day. And when I get to be with my family, I will be with my family, where we'll have comfort, support, and love. The calendar and 911 have come full circle. And Alan Jackson's song ends in a full circle closing either. The chorus goes, I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some great things he gave us. But the greatest is love. So on 911, don't be alone. Be with your Toastmasters club. Be with your community. Be with your church. Be with your family. And on that day, find comfort, support, and love. And Toastmasters.